Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to your Tuesday night racing of the Ford Legends here. And we are at Motorsport Arena Oschersleben. And a fantastic little track, plenty of curves. And a bit like what we had last round out at the old Sebring. Plenty of action to be had on course with multiple different lefts and rights for these guys to really sink their teeth into and get some moves done. So why watch your heroes at the Euros when you can watch the legends at Oschersleben? And that is exactly what we're going to be doing here in Germany this evening. Now, without further ado, before we get into the session with all the action yet to come, we are going to empty that off of your screen. And we're going to run through the points as always. So let's bring up the overall first of all. Kieran Sharp, of course, leading the way, 2:15. Dominant performances for him, but Isaac Doble making a recent push with 1:77 in at P2. Jamie Dory P3, 1:64 with quite a healthy gap between him and Mikey Pollard in P4, 126 points. Then we have our first listed as an AM, but I believe I was told Nick Clibbens last week is not an AM, but 119 for P5 overall for Nick Clibbens. Then we've got Lee Horner in P6 with 88 points, Andrew Pike 74 points, and Ian Manners on 65. And then we have Duncan Mariah on 58 and Alan McCain on 56. Scrolling down, we have Adam Locke in P11. 54 points, then Delmont follows on with 46. Ben Altria on 44. And then we have Sam Bradley on 30. Matthew Cheverton on 28, and then we have Daniel Fritz on 21. Alex Meredith on 18. Benjamin McCluskey on 14. Mark Sykes on 7. And Josh Brown on 5. And towards the bottom of the grid, we have Craig Tillotson on 3. Mark Kent on 1. Jake Pitt, James, Kevin, and Lewis all on 0. Sam Smith -4. And Costa also -4. Now remember, the AMS has a separate table as well, so Nick Clibbens is showing up on this one as an AM. I've been told he's not an AM, but on 262. Ben Altria at 149. Adam Locke on 135. Then we've got Daniel Fritz on 104. Followed on from that, we do have Sam Bradley on 84. Josh Brown on 68. Craig Tillotson on 42. And Sam Smith on 40. Costa on 31. Mark Sykes on 28. And scrolling through, we have Jonathan Collins on 14, Mark Kent on 12, Alexander Parkin on 7. We've got Jake Pitt, James, and Kevin all on 0 there towards the back of the grid. Now, let's jump in to the action then this evening. As you can see, we are into our qualifying session at the moment. And we're going to jump straight over to this man. He's been the talk of the town for the last couple of rounds. Isaac Doble, the only one to put a stop to Kieran Sharp's reign of dominance in the Ford Legends. And Isaac Doble seems to be the one person that holds that key to that magical door, to that mysterious world of defence that he can keep Kieran Sharp in behind. But he is the only one so far to successfully do it, and some amazing performances we've seen as well from Isaac Doble to keep the torpedo, shall we say, behind. And it's the two-tone blue of Isaac Doble there. And what we'll do is we won't bring you up your battle box, because obviously these guys aren't battling out on track as of yet. They're all just trying to get in their quickest lap times. And as always, what we'll do is we'll bring up your little qualifying times on the bottom of your screen. You'll see the sectors, and the sectors have been split up. I believe it's just 2 sectors. Obviously, we're on a shorter track, and this will be the perfect time to keep an eye on those drivers out on course and see is who is doing what. You can see Mikey Pollard coming into the pit lane, and Adam Delmont, the 777 going around there in the Alberta NASCAR livery. And what we're going to do as well is I'll bring you up your track map. Obviously, I say we're not going to bring up the battle box yet, but obviously the track map is not a problem. That obviously we can use at the minute. Now let's have a little look at the bottom of the screen. As you can see, Costa's name taking up half of the screen, and his sector's show up massive compared to everyone else's, but I can assure you it's all about the length of the name, not the size of the sector. But as you can see at the minute, Alan McCain putting in a fantastic sector 1. Craig Tillotson putting in a quick lap time there, 2.3 seconds off the lead for that lap time. It's not his quickest one, and as you can see at the minute, everyone putting in yellow times for the first sector. Now, more or less, all that means is these cars are not getting the desired colour that they want. They're not getting the time they need, which is the magical purple. And if they see that purple, there's a high chance that they'll be at the top of that tower, either leading or very close to it. That seems the only person to have any form of purple sector at the moment is your leader of Isaac Doble. Now we do have 16 cars out there this evening as well. And looking at this, we do have here is your leader at the minute. We do have him going around trying to improve that lap time. It's not going to be easy to do that, but you can see the gap is close between Kieran Sharp and Isaac Doble, so it just takes one lap for Kieran Sharp to find that lap time, and he's right back on the rear end of Isaac Doble. And as you can see, we have a car off course there, number 34. Number 34 will be Craig Tillotson. Here he is on your screen at the moment. And Craig is currently representing that P15 spot. Looking to try and claw his way up the grid. Again, it's not going to be easy. You can see all the times are fairly close. The only time at the minute isn't as close as what they would hope is Costa's. But don't worry, that time will come down. Because remember, when these guys are all on the course, all on the grid, their qualifying might be a couple of tenths apart, but when they're on the grid, they're going to be door to door once we get underway. Now we are in our penultimate round as well, round 4 of 5 here this evening. We are at Mugello Short next week out, and what a magnificent season it's been. 5 fantastic weeks of thrilling racing, door-to-door action all the way to the very end. And all Kieran Sharp really needs to do to solidify this championship will be keep it on track tonight, and that should be all wrapped up and all his. But any major incident tonight, and that could change the tale drastically, and Isaac Doble could take advantage and possibly snatch that championship away. Remember, 3 races in one evening as well, so we'll be seeing 3 heats of racing here. We do have obviously our safety car with us if need be. Touch wood, we won't need the safety car, but there is one there with us, and we have our race directors and our stewards out there ready to see the carnage that's going to ensue here very shortly. But like I say, why watch the Euros when you can watch the Legends? The Euros are predictable, the Legends aren't. Anyone could come out on top, and anyone could get some race victories here this evening. We saw a lot of heated action last time out. A lot of door-to-door And some incidents as well between some of the high runners, which caused a massive mix-up. And it really did change the course of the race as well. Your usual names were not at the top of the grid last round out. Nevertheless, still gave us some great racing. Like we saw Kieran Sharp battling out for, I think it was P16 or P17 last week. And that's just as good as the battle at the top end of the table as well. And obviously Kieran Sharp isn't a name we normally talk about when being in P16. See the cars coming into the pit lane. Some will be just looking for a quick cool down before doing last couple of laps of qualifying. Also, this acts as a good time for these drivers to get some practice in as well. And I can report that your leader has changed. Isaac Doble. Isaac Doble, unfortunately, just dropping down to P2. You can see a little bit of an inside lockup there for Isaac Doble. And I think we might see a couple of lockups with some attacking moves this evening. Some sharp corners. And with these sharp corners brings some tense action. As we will see some cars going into these turns a little hotter than normal, just to try and overtake those cars within close vicinity just in front of them. And obviously we'll be treated to all that action here this evening, and that will all commence very, very shortly. And we will be getting underway here very shortly. Last few minutes of qualifying rounding off. Before we get into the action. One car in the pits at the moment, and that is Mr. Adam Dalmont. Got Duncan Wright now coming in as well. There is Duncan. Now heading out is Adam Dalmont. One Alberto Nasca livery in, the other one coming out. Question is, can Adam Dalmont improve on his lap time at the minute? P8 overall. Not a bad position. Roughly around mid-table at the minute for Adam Dalmont. 16 drivers are listed in front of me here. So he is on that halfway mark. Remember, there is a random reverse grid as well. Hopefully it's a little more kind to us viewers at home. Last round out being only the top two had to swap around. So hopefully it's a bit more adventurous tonight, and it's feeling like a bit more of a mix-up. That'd be nice to see a whole grid shape up. That would be very nice. See the onboard there for Adam Dalmont, currently on his out lap. 20 seconds to go. He's just going to cross the line, but not a lot of time left for this session. There you go. In fact, 10 seconds left as he crosses the line. There he goes. Your leader has jumped into the pit lane, Kieran Sharp. Currently leading the way with his quick lap time of 1 minute 10. And this will be the final lap as well. So Delmont, if you're going to pull out a quick time, this is the time and place to do it. Last lap of the old qualifying session before we unleash these absolute monsters on this course for some fantastic racing here this evening. As we just wait for final couple of cars to come across the line to finish off their lap times. And in comes your 777 of Adam Delmont. Not able to improve from that P8 that he was holding just a few moments ago, as he still holds that position. Now, we're going to get into race 1 here in just a few moments. Just before that, we will bring you your grid lineup for the first race. And then we'll bring you your action ready to rumble for this session here this evening. Obviously, 3 races of action yet to come. 16 cars out there ready to race as well. And it should be some good fun for some non-stop action. Good chance for these drivers to really let off some steam from their long weekends. As here we do bring up your grid. Kieran Sharp, P1. Isaac Doble, P2. And then we've got Lee Horn, P3. Mikey Pollard, P4. Andrew Pike, P5. Nick Clibbens, P6. Jamie Dory, P7. Adam Delmont, P8. Ben Altria, P9. Duncan Wright, P10. Sam Smith, P11. Matthew Cheverton, P12. Going through the grid, we have P13 for Sam Bradley. Alan McCain, P14. Craig Tillerson, P15. And Costa in P16. So there is your lineup for this evening's racing. And before we get underway, we'll have your track map up ready and your battle box as well. So we'll have everything ready to go for you here this evening. As we just wait for all the cars to join us on grid. Jamie Dory, Sam Smith and Alan McCain. As we have those, we'll be ready to rock and roll. There is your leader, the number 23, Kieran Sharp. And so he has that inside line advantage into turn 1. And he will have that over Isaac Doble. He's got hope for a good start. Remember, they will be rolling round for a whole lap before they get underway. The pace car will then go into the pits, and Kieran Sharp will very briefly hold the pace. And once he gets going and those lights are out, we are all racing conditions at that point, and that's when the 23 has to hope for a good start early on the gas and sit in front of Isaac Doble, because if not, you could see Doble going later on the brakes and possibly catching him on the inside of that corner. Here we go. Your leader is underway behind the pace car. The rest of the cars soon to follow. You can see the smoke in the background, the tyres spinning and burning it up on the grid. 20 minutes of Legends racing yet to come. And there is your leader at the moment. Nick Clemens a bit further down the pack, P6. And getting ready to rock and roll here this evening. Now, your leaders, Sharp and Altria, are your class leaders. Ben Altria, P9, leader of the AMs at the minute. And Kieran Sharp obviously starting the race in P1. So they will be the names to look out for. Look out for Ultra, by the way. 2 cars between him and the 2 other AMs. Delmont and Sam Smith are the 2 cars are basically acting as a rolling blockade from Sam Bradley and Duncan Marai, catching up to the leader of the AMs and possibly making a advancement there. 13 going a bit off track to I think maybe the 57 caught him off guard a little bit with the brakes. Remember, these cars don't have any brake lights to look at, so it is a case of shock if a car suddenly jumped on the brakes, should we say, on these warm-up laps as we head round the penultimate corner. And there goes the pace car. So the pace is now all on this man here, Kieran Sharp, number 23. And the lights are up. And the cars are starting to spread out. Here we go, we are underway. And Costa's done his normal, sitting back a little way from the grid at the moment. And it looks like Isaac Doble has possibly got the advantage there, as Kieran Sharp does manage to keep his car in front. And Isaac Doble has to be careful, because we've got Andrew Pike coming around the outside. And just so I say that, Lee Horn sneaks up on the inside line there, the 36 on the 57. And the 36 still sitting side by side. Now finds himself towards the outside line, all the way around the left-hander, still on the outside line, and now finds himself sitting in P4. So back to single file traffic, and let's look a little bit behind. Mikey Pollard and Nick Clibbens side by side there out of the previous turn there. I was getting a bit stumbled on my words, still seeing some of these cars going side by side at the moment, and Alan McCain was one of them coming out of the last corner in almost a 3-wide battle there. As you see, the pink car of Sam Smith going a little off course just then, a few moments ago, and once again on the final corner, side by side once more for Sam Bradley and Alan McCain, as here they come up the start-finish straight. And they will now be single file with Alan McCain in front. Sam Bradley now finds himself in a sandwich between Alan McCain and Sam Smith. Battle of the Sams at the moment then, as Sam Smith looks to overtake around the outside line. And unfortunately, he's going to need a little more speed to do that. And he's not unable to find that. So single file it is again. Looks to try and make a move once more, but once again on the outside line, and he's not finding that attacking line, which tends to be up the inside of the corners. And there's a bit of a spin there for the 27, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to set up any more attacks just yet. Now Matthew Cheverton, 390, a little bit off course there, but he's trying to catch up to this pack just in front of him, and a pack that is held tightly together. And you can see the likes of Jamie Dory and your AM leader Ben Ultria. Here's Ben Ultria at 504 in amongst it. And just as I say that, I've just realised a gap has opened up quite considerably between Jamie Dory, the number 13 there on your screens, and Ben Ultria. So Jamie Dory sitting at the back of this group at the minute, behind the Alberto Nasca livery of Adam Delmont. And just ahead of Delmont is Nick Clibbens. There is Nick Clibbens there, the 013. The battle for the real 13 could be on again here this evening. We last saw that at Catalonia, where the 013 fought the number 13. And possibly once more we'll have that again this evening. But the only car stopping that at the minute is Mr. Delmont, the 777, in between the two. And when I say the battle for the real 13, I'm referring to Nick Clibbens, who's obviously the 013 car on screen at the moment. And this man, Jamie Dory, who's the number 13. And those two did have a hard-fought battle back in Catalonia, and it was certainly a sight to see, as a battle for the Sams is certainly on here. These two cars up against each other once more, between the two light blue cars. Nearly 4 minutes into the session already. Time does fly around here, and it seems like it's going a lot quicker than normal this evening, as the number 9 has a bit of a wide sort of exit there. And just as I say exit, it's more like an apex, as the number 027 behind Sam Smith trying to catch up within a tenth now of the car ahead. They are shoulder to shoulder as they head into the right-hander. And once again, outside line for the 027. Can he look for the cutback on the inside? He does look for it, but once again, the car gets a bit stuck on that exit there. And that seems to be the thing costing him some time from that attacking move. And that does cost him a little bit, sets him back, and he's got to build that time once more. So that's going to be a tricky job to do as we look towards Nick Clibbens at the moment then. And Nick Clibbens, P8 overall. Jamie Dory just in front. 2/10 split the two cars. And as you can see, the battle for the real 13 is on indeed. As you can see, the 777 of Adam Dalmont, it does find himself ahead of both those two. So has Nick Clibbens got what it needs in the tank to sit with Jamie Dory and potentially sum up some kind of attacking move, which is not easy around this circuit with the constant left and rights. It's not as easy when you normally have more lefts than rights. You can set up your move a little easier, but because it's always back and forth between all these different corners, you always find yourself on the outside line right when you don't want to be. And that is unfortunately the case for some of these drivers this far. And one of the drivers that really has had that kind of luck is Sam Smith. And speaking of getting around on the inside line, looks like Duncan Murray was trying to get by Alan McCain there on that final corner, but Alan McCain done well to close that door and seal that off to show Duncan that he's not going to get around easily, and it's going to take a little more than a simple move around the outside. So showing him the hard shoulder as a number 33 does look towards the inside line there. And car did bog down just ever so slightly on that corner, but they come out side by side. And Duncan Wright will find himself on the outside line of the turn. He knows that. He's going to go in a little bit hotter than the 212 who's on the inside line at the minute of Alan McCain. But now he'll find himself in the advantage spot. And Duncan Wright does push up a position momentarily. Has his nose in front. But it's enough at the minute because Alan McCain does spin around. And Alan McCain now facing the wrong way on the circuit. Spins his car back around. Bit of a handbrake turn there. Let Sam Smith by. And sounds like he gets back underway. There he goes. Costa just in behind. Craig Tillotson just behind that as well. And the all blue of Costa. Now I've seen that car in a few battles this season already. And no doubt we'll see him in many more as well. Not only in this series, but I'm sure there's other series that Costa's involved in. He puts on a bit of a show for everyone watching at home. And speaking of a show, Craig Tillotson is wanting to do that at the moment. 34 looking towards the inside line, and Costa really is not wanting to give that position away. You can see swerving down the home straight there. Costa jumping over the sausage cabs basically, and really holds a tight inside line. And that's probably the tightest turn I've seen there on the first large looping right-hander, as I think Costa's just getting in that defensive mindset from Craig's attacks, and really trying to hold off that 34 and keep him in the mirrors. Not going to be an easy job because it looks like Craig really does want to get going here. You can see he looks a little punchy, as some people would say. Looks like he really wants to get by. As you can see, he does catch up quite considerably into the braking zones. And 1 minute 10.4, quickest time there of that lap goes to Isaac Doble. Not the quickest lap time overall, just of that one lap there that we saw. And you can see Costa taking a nice line there. Craig Tillotson, all four wheels, almost left the course there. He was kind of into the pit road entrance as he looked to make his move, and he does get his move. Not too sure if Costa let go of the power a little bit on the straight there. because the 34 passed him, absolutely flew by like he was standing still. So Craig Tillotson does get that move done and pushes up into P15. Now the question is, can Costa get that gain back on that 34 and slip by the red and white Legends car there of Craig Tillotson? Not going to be an easy job. However, anything is possible. You can see a no defensive moves as of yet for the 34. Doesn't feel that Costa is close enough at the moment, but that is a good exit there for Costa, and he finds himself right on the back end once more. And they may not be fighting up the table, but I tell you what, they're fighting nonetheless. It doesn't matter what position for, you're always going to find some fun with these Legends, and 34 and the 287 Costa do split up there ever so slightly. Now we've had a change in lead of the AMS. Ben Altria finds himself now in P2 in the AMS. P11 overall. This is the 504 car on your screen, and that is the 504 car on your screen going into the tyre barriers. He's making sure his tyres match the ones lined up with the wall, and he's confirmed they are the same brand and can happily carry on with the steward's approval. Just behind the car of Sam Smith there, P12 overall. That was a quick check of the older tyres there for Ben. And it doesn't look like there's too much damage on this side of the vehicle, but when you look at the car coming up the straight, it doesn't look healthy. There's something about it. And looks to be quite rigid, really. And there's a bit of airtime, and once again the 504 smoke out of that car, and he's put the handbrake turn on, spun the thing back around. Going to keep going once more. Ben Altria not having the best of days at the moment. P14 for him overall. P3 in the AMS. Isaac Dobel at the minute chasing down the 23 of Kieran Sharp. Now, how many times have I said that this season? Plenty is the answer. I was just having reports that the car 504, Ben Altria, black and orange flag. Too much damage to continue. Had to come in to get that car serviced and get it fixed up. So you can see pit lane next to Ben Altria's name. Craig Tillotson, I believe, has the same situation going on there. As we see the 65 still chasing down Kieran Sharp at the moment. Costa does make the overtake into P14. So Costa's jumped up a couple of spots there. This is the battle for the lead. You can see Andrew Pike lurking in the distance at 57. Then you've got a pack of 3 in behind that as well. So it's still fairly close. Any kind of slip-up or mistake from any of these racers out in front, and it could pay dividends to those in behind, because there's not much of a gap. And it only takes a split second for these cars to gain an overtake from a mistake, especially around a circuit like this. And I just saw at the corner of my eye, Jamie Dory here, car number 13, up on the rear end of Mikey Pollard, 73 on your screen now, with a classic wooden design car there for the Ford Legend livery. And you can see this group really is closing up together now. Adam Delmont sort of just lurking in the background as well, 6/10 off of Jamie Dory, who's just ahead. And not close enough to engage in any attacking moves this far, but these guys are all going around single file at the minute. The drafting is obviously probably paying off quite well for these guys right now, Mikey Pollard especially. It's just enough to keep Jamie Dory at bay. The question is, can he do it right up until the race end? That's going to be the question. 13 minutes is the minute mark we're about to crunch into. 7 left to go for these Legends to work into the positions that they desire to be in for race 1 results. Obviously 2 more races yet to come as well. Possible reverse grid, and that number could be anything. Like I say, hopefully it's a bit more generous to us than what it was last week out, and not just the top 2. See a bit more of a mix-up. We've seen groups like these 4 on your screen at the moment. We've seen these be affected by the reverse grid, where it splits them exactly in half, and then you have a couple of close battles all throughout the field. At the minute though, the 57 car there, Andrew Pike, sitting in front of this pack, and then just between the 57 and Lee Horn is a sizable gap at that. 2.5 seconds, so I don't think Pike has to worry too much about losing the podium spot right now, but 36 is on your screen at the moment, and he's kind of sitting and navigating this course in front of this group of cars that's quite tight-knit as well, and this is probably the most pressurising position to be in for Lee Horn, having seen 3 or 4 cars right up close behind you, and knowing that if you make any slight slip up, they're going to be munching down on that rear bumper faster than you can think, and that's possibly going to cost some positions as well. As you can see, the 73 and 13 coming very close together there. Mikey Pollard in the black just in front of the 73 and the 13 of Jamie Dory. Bright pink livery does stand out quite well amongst some of the other vehicles out there this evening. So you can see, looking up the inside line there for Mikey Pollard, possibly sizing up a move on the 36. And let's not forget, there is still a battle for the lead going on as well. 3 tenths between these two. Has Isaac Doble got what it takes to get any closer to your leader and possibly set that move up and get it to work in his favour in the last few minutes of this race? Just under 5 minutes left to go. And once more, we're seeing Jamie Dory really close that gap down now, as the 73 and 13 close up ever so slightly, and getting now almost within a tenth of each other into the final turn. This is where things do spread out ever so slightly, but a good exit here on top of your opponent, and you won't have too much to worry about, and it looks like it has worked in Jamie Dory's favour. That time was coming down ever so slightly, just within 3 tenths now of a second, as we head through the long sweeping right-hander once more. You can see them all keeping a very tight inside line there now. Saw quite a few people drifting wide through the apex of that turn, and now they're all insistent on just keeping it short and narrow. So keeping a nice shallow line through that first sweeping right. As you see, Mikey Pollard switched to the outside there, looking possibly for an outside move or a cutback at the end of the corner. Unfortunately, can't get either. 2 tyres onto the grass, but that's not going to impede on any pace as they come down sort of a small back straight, I think is what we could call it. And you see Jamie Dory there all over the rear end of Mikey Pollard. Now, does he look towards the inside and switch it up? No, unfortunately, he's not able to do that either. Nearly 17 minutes into this race, so just over 3 left to go. And is this going to be enough for Jamie Dory to either hold his position or move forward? And at the minute, he's lost a little time to Mikey Pollard, so he might have to just settle here for a lap or two before sizing up another attack. And speaking of people sizing up an attack, Isaac Doble still yet to make a move on Kieran Sharp, your leader, but then again, maybe not quite close enough to square up a move on your leader. 23 dominant performances so far this season, and like we say, I'm pretty sure Kieran Sharp only just needs to keep it on circuit and score a few points here this evening, and he's basically walking away with that championship. You see Lee Horn dropping down 1 spot. Mikey Pollard now finds himself in the front of this pack of cars here. The 36 dropping down just in front of Jamie Dory, and almost contact there. And you can see, wow, Delmont going for a bit of a drift, and found out that the tyres work really well off course, as he manages to keep his speed up with the group in front of him. 73 on the inside line of the turn 1, 36 towards the outside, and once again switching positions between those two. Mikey Pollard not able to hold that position though, finds himself on the outside line. Now, is that going to cost him to Jamie Dory, who's now sneaking up on the inside as well? 13 there trying to take that position away from Pollard. If Pollard can hold his own, which he does, he holds his line as well. He's able to hold his place right this second. But the question is he going to do enough to maintain it now, because we're going into another right-hander. He switches up and looks for an attacking move up the inside. A bit of a lock-up there. You can see the smoke rising as Jamie Dory does capitalise and move through. He's got up 1 more spot So Jamie Dory now finds himself in front of Mikey Pollard. That is the question that I was asking a few laps ago. Is it enough? And, oh no, there's contact just between the 13 and 73. But it looks like that was a sim curse there, because I believe that is the one thing we call netcode. As that's what it looked like from this booth as well. And not physical contact between the two cars, but there was a bit of, we call it Bluetooth contact. And it's a Bluetooth collision, so no contact necessary, just the magic of the air between the two cars colliding together, and it was enough to send both cars, unfortunately, down the grid just by a few positions. Adam Delmont, though, has done well at that situation, P5. Isaac Doble, unfortunately, not enough just yet to get in front of Kieran Sharp, but these two are edging ever so closer together. As just as I say that, 4/10 almost split the two into that entrance of the corner there. You can see a bit of a drift on for the 65, and that's always the fun part about this car, keeping it in a straight line. The amount of times on corner exits you find yourself in a bit of a drift, it does get quite hairy sometimes in some of these sections. But one man that's done a very good job of that is Kieran Sharp, and keeping that car well and truly in check as he comes around the final corner. And he will come across the line to win the first race this evening. Kieran Sharp, number 23, comes across the line in P1. And Isaac Doble closely followed in P2. And we've got Andrew Pike getting that final podium spot there in P3. As we sit and wait for the remainder of the cars to come across the line. A solid race for these guys for the first race out this evening, for the first meeting, and another two spectacular ones to bring to you as well. 20 minutes of good racing there though, and hopefully things will go a little bit better for Mr. Ultra in the second race. Obviously having some earlier incidents with the tyres. He had to just make sure he had the right ones on, so he swiftly went over to the barrier to check them before rejoining back on course and carrying on his race. So hopefully the second one goes a bit better for him and he can fight for that podium, as he's the final one to take the checker flag before we bring you your results here for the first time this evening. First time of 3, and let's bring them to you. So as you can see on your screens then, as it stands, Kieran Sharp did win that race in P1, Isaac Doble P2, Andrew Pike P3, Lee Horn P4, Adam Delmont P5, Mikey Pollard P6, Nick Clibbens P7, and we've got Duncan Wright P8, but he won the AMS there in Jamie Dory P9, Matthew Cheverton P10, Sam Bradley P11, Sam Smith P12, Alan McCain P13, Ben Ulcher P14, Costa in P15, and Craig Tillotson in P16. Now, as always, what we're going to do is we're going to jump to our pre-live screen and we will rejoin you here with commentary for the second race the moment that gets ready and underway. So we'll see you very, very shortly. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Last 20 seconds of this practice session. Reverse grid of top 7. So we will see those top 7 cars switching up their positions. And no, it is not the 7 that appear on your screen at the moment. That is not going to be the order. We'll bring you the order here in just a moment. Right, now the question is that will split up those packs that were close together in race 1. What will that bring us in race 2? We'll soon find out here in just a few moments as the checker flag does wave. Getting us ready here for the second outing. And here it is. So we have Duncan Wright P1, Alan McCain P2, Kieran Sharp P3. Then it would be Costa in P4, I believe, and Jamie Dory P5. Isaac Doble P6, and then we have Matthew Cheverton P7. Then we've got Adam Delmont P8, and then we'll have Mikey Pollard P9, Sam Bradley P12, P11, sorry, P11, P10. I'll get there eventually. And then we have Sam Smith following on from that. Craig Tillerson, Ben Altria, Lee Horn, and Nick Clemens, and Andrew Pike. I have a sneak suspicion that is wrong. Because those names do not line up with the reverse grid. And by the looks of it, that was wrong indeed. Well, here we have your lineup. In fact, what we'll do is we'll use the lineup on the left-hand side of your screen then. So Nick Clibbins is going to be leading the way in the 013. Then Mikey Pollard in the number 73 there on the left-hand side of your screens in P2. Adam Delmont will be P3. Lee Horn follows on from that. Then Andrew Pike, Isaac Doble, Kieran Sharp, Duncan Marai. As some of the cars changed, that doesn't really help. Then it'll be Jamie Dory, Matthew Cheverton, Sam Bradley, Sam Smith, Alan McCain, Ben Altria. And then we have Costa and Craig Tillerson on back row. But we're off underway for the rolling lap behind the safety car. And we're getting ready to rock and roll here for the second time out. Nick Clibbins will be leading us, and we'll have to hope that he has the similar start to what Kieran Sharp endured on the first race, because it was just enough to keep himself in the front. Now this first corner is a tricky one, because as you can see from the track map, it is a left-hander that leads straight in to a right-hand turn, and that right-hand turn is a long sweeping corner, so you really do want to make sure you've got yourself in front, and any sort of lack of momentum on the start, and that's really going to cost him. And that's where Mr. Mikey Pollard, who will find himself on the inside line of that right-hander, number 73. If he can keep his nose side by side, he will have the advantage going around turn 1. So let's see what happens on the start here as we come up through the final couple of corners. See the 013 on the car highlighted on the screen. Number 36 there of Lee Horn behind it, with the 777 of Adam Delmont as well. The second row. Safety car is now in. That is the pit lane entrance. Well, the weaving has stopped. Cars are now heading off to Noah's Ark in 2x2 fashion. And wait for it, this is where you start to see the drivers really put their foot down. There go the lights, and there go the cars. As you can see instantly, some of the cars fling out like jet wings. And, well, Nick Clibbins leads the way at the moment, not having to worry about cars either side of him. He's got clean air along this circuit, and 4 wide into turn 1. Lee Horn, unfortunately, being sent wide there early doors, and finds himself now on the inside line of a 3 wide battle involving Isaac Doble and Kieran Sharp. And luckily all cars do come through that first corner rather successfully as well. No major contacts for anyone there. Kieran Sharp on the inside of Lee Horn at the minute. Lee Horn possibly losing out of position there. He has done indeed, and now finds himself side by side with Jamie Dory in the right-hander. And now we've got Kieran Sharp that does find himself in single file traffic. The 13 of Jamie Dory is finding his way around Lee Horn, or tried to, but Lee Horn does enough at the minute to keep his car ahead. Back into single file now then for these cars that were side by side initially. And it was a fantastic start for Nick Clibbins, as we saw him really break away there on the opening start straight. And it was at this point here that he extended that gap, as you can see, to half a second at the minute. 1:16.3, quickest lap time for your leader. Also, he did break away, and then sitting in the 73 there at the moment, P2 for Mr. Mikey Pollard in front of this group of cars. And it looks like we've had a couple of cars dropping down the grid. Well, this is one of them, Sam Bradley, car number 12, facing the wrong way, with Ben Ultra as well, facing the wrong way. Let's have a little look at what happened between those two, if we could. I know we've got Ben Ultra here on your screen. 504 hits the sausage curbs, spins, and it looks like that was the exact same for car number 12 there off Sam Bradley. As you can see, there he is now getting back out on course. So it just looked like a bit of a synchronised mistake there for the two vehicles. As you see, Kieran Sharp getting a bit squirrely there on the exit of the penultimate corner. 36 nearly took advantage of that. That's Lee Horn nearly getting in front there, and that would have been a devastating move for Kieran Sharp to see himself drop down the grid when they're trying to push their way back up. Obviously, reverse grid in play. Top 7 being reversed. So this is the start that Nick needed, but 4/10 splits P1 and P2, so it's come down by a 10th within a lap, and just as I say, that's now 2/10. Smoke in the background. I don't see anyone off circuit, so I think everyone got away with it. Craig Tillotson wasn't far from going off circuit there though, number 34, almost touching grass on the outside. Here's Alan McCain, the 212, trying to catch up to the 390 of Matthew Cheverton. The all blue rear end there just ahead. Duncan Wright is leading the AMS according to my information here. Number 33, the Alberto Nasca livery, the Italian racing driver, who did do these Ford Legends in real life and enjoyed it as well. Some really good racing side by side, just as tight as what we've seen here this season as well. So it is a good series, not only on the sim but in real life. So it's well worth a good old watch. But there's a little bit of bias in me, and I would say that the next gen version is a little better than the real version, but we won't go into that too much. We're not going to dwell on that. But there is a big battle here down towards the rear end of the grid. Pack of 4, all within a second of each other easily. As you see Ben Ulcher, 504 there. He is the car first on your screen, with the lime green there, and then you've got Costa just coming up on the inside of Sam Bradley and sealing off car 12 from making that move. Car number 12 does hold the heavy inside line there and almost sneaks up the inside of Costa, as Costa looks to cut him off once more. And the 12 looks to go back on the inside line once again of Sam Bradley. And unfortunately not able to do that. Can Craig Tillotson form any moves? Because the more these two fight ahead of him, the more they're going to get slowed down. And it looks like Sam Bradley has now got by. So he has taken that inside line and got by Costa. Costa put up some good defence there, but it wasn't quite enough in the end. And it sees Sam Bradley move up a spot. Now can number 34, Craig Tillotson, do the same? We saw these two battling out in the first race, and for multiple laps as well. These two were going at it with constant changes of position, and not only that, seeing the time never going above half a second basically between these two. Pace very similar, and defence and attacking skills almost identical as well, as the 287 looks to hold slightly inside line to the 34, Craig Tillotson. It's going to force him around the outside. Turn 1 by the looks of it, squeezing him out. And if I was Craig in that situation, I'd be going a bit hot into that corner, because I know full well if I keep my nose up alongside, that this whole right-hander would be advantage goes to me, and I'll be taking that position away from Costa. But unfortunately, the 34 is not able to gain the advantage there and get any momentum bonus on the 287. So he's just going to have to sit behind the all-blue of Costa. As you can see him bogging down a bit on his brakes there. You can see the car getting a bit squirrely with how slow he had to enter that corner. As the gap does extend out between those two. Now the gap that is closing is between the 57 of Andrew Pike and the 73 of Mikey Pollard. This is the battle for P2 at the moment. And Mikey Pollard sitting in that P2 spot. Nice little podium position. But Andrew Pike once more, as you see him on your screen there, just swerving out to the inside line. More just intimidation tactics, I think, for Mr. Pike, as he does look towards making a move up the field, because the further you go up the field, the further away you are from Isaac Doble and Kieran Sharp, two names you really don't want sitting right behind you, and that is the case for this man here, the 777 of Adam Delmont. Just behind him are those two cars that you really don't want following you. It's not a pretty sight. And speaking of which, this is the sight on the rear end of that gearbox. As you can see, this is the rear end of Adam Delmont's car, 65, right there behind. So there's nothing between the two. This is the view ahead of Mr. Delmont, 57 just in front, Andrew Pike, and podium spots just ahead. As you can see there, the 57 did disappear for a brief second. That is just common errors, and that's unfortunately the errors of sim racing sometimes. Sometimes the internet doesn't always work in our favour, so some cars will blink in and out. It's something we will see here and every so often, no doubt, with multiple different people. It's not just the same people all the time, but it's one of those things that does happen. As you can see, the 65 edging ever so closer now. Isaac Doble looking towards the inside line. Now, he hasn't quite got the speed to sit on the inside of Adam Delmont. Adam Delmont done enough to seal out that inside line as well, so he's done the defensive duties well there. And Kieran Sharp just lurking in the background, waiting for the 65 to push, and he could really prevail here. And if these guys get sent into a side-by-side battle, Kieran Sharp could easily send it 3 wide and possibly take the advantage there as those two focus on each other. 65 once again looking towards the inside line of the 777, not going for a move this fast. Single file traffic still at the moment as we're into the penultimate corner now of this lap. 8 minutes in, 12 left to go, or just under 12 left to go now of this second race here. And Andrew Pike does make the move up, and Isaac Doble also does at the same time. Isaac Doble does manage to push his way up onto P4 at the moment. Podium spot just ahead of him, but he's got to be careful because Delmont is coming back. Those two side by side now, and is Kieran Sharp going to bring himself into play and look up the inside line? He's not. He's going to sit behind Isaac Doble, and it looks like Delmont is going to have that nice inside line there of turn 1, but as it swings around into the right hander, he's going to find himself towards the outside. Now Kieran Sharp possibly going to take advantage and push up the inside himself, and he does just about that as he finds himself side by side with Delmont at the minute. If he can hold this line towards the outside, then he might well find himself in a better position after the next turn, but he doesn't. A single file once more, and Isaac Doble now puts a bit of breathing room between him and Kieran Sharp, which will look nice for his standings in the championship, but he needs a bit more of a gap than just one car. It's not going to make a massive difference. But the 65 does push on. Now Kieran Sharp looking to attack Adam Delmont and get by him as soon as possible to get back on the rear end of Isaac Doble. We see the 73 going wide there, and Isaac taking the initiative on the inside line. 65 holds a nice tight line there. Now the question is, did 73 get enough momentum out the corner? That's Mikey Pollard to maintain his position. Doesn't look like it at the minute. Isaac Doble does have his nose just ahead, but only by a couple hundredths of a second. And the 65 now does find himself single file traffic in front in P3 of Mikey Pollard. So he's not Mikey Pollard off that podium spot. The positions are clawing back for Mr. Doble here as we're just about to approach the halfway mark, and we're just breaching through that as we speak. So just under 10 minutes left to go here this evening for the second race, and one more left to go, but things are looking positive for Doble at the moment. Now let's have a little look towards Sam Bradley then. How are we getting on down here? So at the minute, car number 12, just on the rear end of 504. This is the battle for P13. Looking up the inside line for the Sam Bradley's car. Not able to get the move done. A bit too much of a gap between the two cars as it stands right now. And Sam Bradley unfortunately down 3 positions. Did have that synchronised spin earlier in the race, but has managed to keep his car going, and obviously no damage on that vehicle here at all either. A nice clean race this far, but then again I've probably just given it the old commentator's curse, so luckily we do have our safety counting our stewards ready here, just in case there is anything going on out there on course. But hopefully I haven't jinxed it too badly for him. As car number 13, Jamie Dory, looking to sneak up on the rear end of this pack of cars, and a tight pack at that as well. So as these guys battle, that will slow each other down, and that possibly brings in people like Jamie Dory to gain any form of overtakes on those ahead, as the times really do start closing up now. You can see from the leader, it's only a couple of seconds from them to P8. So still close together. The straights on the rear end of the course aren't that long, but they're long enough at the minute to fit this entire pack on the same bit of track. So they're doing well at the moment to keep this close knit, that's for sure. And speaking to someone that's very good at doing that, Kieran Sharp, just on the back end of the 777, and just like I say that, Adam Delmont now looks to get the attack on Mikey Pollard, and Mikey Pollard again wide on the final turn, but not quite wide enough to damage his pace up the home straight. As you see, the 777 looking sort of half car out on the inside line there, doesn't go for it. I thought he might, but also remember, these cars will max out at their top speed by the end of that straight, I imagine, so there's no speed advantage in terms of going into that corner. It's just a case of who's going to get later on the brakes and possibly risk a lock-up on the inside. Now that'll be the most dangerous thing. Locking up on the inside and sliding forward. Not able to stop, and unfortunately taking out the person next to you. It is all possible to happen with any of these moves up the inside line of that first turn. But the 777 still finds herself in decent air at the moment, sitting there splitting Mikey Pollard from Kieran Sharp, currently P5 overall. Lee Horn currently in that reverse grid position from race 1 to race 2. So the top 7 were reversed, and Lee Horn does currently sit in that P7 spot. Jamie Dory in P8, just in behind him. Now that is your top 8 there, and there's your 9th place car, number 33. And that is just behind Jamie Dory. That's Duncan Mariah. That is your AM leader. So you've got this pack of cars all the way at the top here, and then you've got your AM leader. And just as I say that, Adam Delmont drops the place to Kieran Sharp. Kieran Sharp manages to hold a fantastic inside line there. And unfortunately, Delmont not only lost one position, but he's lost multiple. As now the only person between him and the AM leader of Duncan Mariah is Jamie Dory, but he's found himself up on the inside of the 36. He holds it well through that turn, and now he manages to get his car well and truly in front. 36 looks to spring a comeback, and they're corner to corner, and in fact they do come out side by side. That's put Delmont off his line just ever so slightly, and almost into a bit of a drift on the exit, which will damage his acceleration out of that corner. But he will find himself on the inside line once more to the 36, and they're now going to go 3 wide with Jamie Dory on the inside line. Fantastic exit of the corner there between these 3, and once more, Jamie Dory finds himself at the back of this group of 3. Nevertheless, I think he's just biding his time, waiting for the right move. He knows when it is on and knows when it isn't, and very sensible there to pull out of that triple threat, as we'll call it, into the penultimate and the final corner of that lap. But 14.5 minutes gone, so 5.5 left to go for these drivers to get their moves sorted, as Adam Delmont has a bit of a snap there. I think there's possibly a little bit of contact between 2 cars, front bumper to rear bumper, and I think that's why he snapped his car away, as he now finds himself under pressure from Duncan Mariah. But look, lo and behold, I was just mentioning about Jamie Dory is pretty good for deciding when's best to go and when's not best to go, and he saw his opportunity and taken it. So the man that's in P6 in a minute, car number 13, up 3 positions from his starting grid place. Fantastic job for him this far. As we now look towards Isaac Doble, who again is catching up to the car ahead. 57 just in front of him at the moment. P2 and P1 on your screens. Obviously Nick Clibben's been leading from the first lap, and this will be a great race if he can win it. P1 from start to end, and the only thing stopping that from happening at the moment is Andrew Pike and Isaac Doble that are chasing up very closely in behind. And Kieran Sharp has got in front of Mikey Pollard. Mikey Pollard down 3 positions. Kieran Sharp up 3 positions from the starting grid places. And you know what that means. The battle now is well and truly on for the podium spots. As you know, I see Kieran Sharp P4 chasing down Isaac Doble. Not going to be an easy job though, because Doble's pace is quite high end. It's quite up there in the tables. And let's see how the 57 and the 013 hold him up, if at all, in this battle for the lead. Is Kieran Sharp going to introduce himself into that battle, or has he left it a little too late and unable to get that comeback drive on to score the overtake? Find out here in just a few laps time, as we do approach our final few minutes. See there, the car's coming really wide on the exit of the final corner. And that seems to be the optimal line. Let the car slightly drift out, and that seems to be where the fun and the action is in these cars, is when they do slightly kick up a little bit of a fuss in the rear end, and like to keep you thinking on your toes. As we see once again the 57 just blinking in and out of connection there just momentarily. Nothing too major though, nothing that's going to ruin any races. But Isaac Doble at the minute, not got enough there to overtake those cars in the lead. This is your leader, Nick Clibbens, and oh, well held. A fantastic drift from the 013, but that does bring that time down between P1 and P2. Andrew Pike, 2/10. All that splits the two cars, that's going to dip down, and that's going to have a 1 in front of it for the first time this race. 1/10 splits the two cars. Not even that now. Fantastic exit out of the corner there for Andrew Pike. He can now sniff the victory coming his way, and he's now in hunting mode, full-on hunting mode, and he's chasing down Nick Clibbens for the race victory. Couple of attempts split the two cars into the first turn. A inside line well held there for the 57. Finds himself up on the inside, side by side with the 013. Nick Clibbens, Andrew Pike now side by side, completely heading towards the second and third corner. Now blinking in and out for the 57 once more, but nothing too bad again. And now we see Isaac Doble sneaking up. Momentarily got himself onto P2 there, as he was side by side, and then bust into a drift on the exit of the corner. And unfortunately that sends him back to single file traffic. Nick Clibbens, I think he was grasping onto anything he could get his hands on there, and luck has swung his way, as he now sees himself hold that lead and leaves Andrew Pike just in the background there dealing with Isaac Doble. And there goes the white flag. So Nick, you've got 1 lap to hold it set. 1 more lap to do it, and this race victory is all yours. That checkered flag will go home with you after a fantastic performance. Now a little bit of defensive work needed here for the 57 if he wants to stop Isaac Doble from knocking him down 1 step on that podium. Again, a nice inside tight line held there. Bit wide on the exit, and a bit of a drift there involving the grass as well, but he's going to manage to hold that defensive inside line, stop Isaac Doble from sneaking in, but the cutback could still well and truly be on. Not gone for Isaac Doble, possibly just settling for P3. Still in front of Kieran Sharp, so he'll be doing himself some favours there, sitting in front of what I would class as his league rival. As those two are very close on the old points table. There's your gap between the two cars. 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds it is at the moment. As you see your leader now coming into the final corner. Nick Clibbens comes on to the start-finish line. 0-1-3, 2.5 attempts between the two cars. Finishes P1. And Andrew Pike P2. Isaac Doble in P3. All close to each other then in that race. Look, half the grid already finished the race all the way up to P9. And there goes P10, Alan McCain. So 10 cars across the grid, all within a few seconds of each other. Some fantastic racing we saw there in race 2. The battle is still on though between Costa and Craig Tillotson, 287 and 34. At the minute, Costa does still find himself in front, so still defensive mode for Costa. and has done more defensive than attackive this race by the looks of things, but doing a fantastic job at that as well. P15, race anywhere on the rear bumper of Costa, and stand by that as well, support that, because it doesn't matter where you are on the grid, racing is racing, and he's done just enough at the minute to keep Craig Tillotson in behind. And is he going to do enough up to the line? It looks like he is, but only just, as half a tenth is all that splits those two as they come across the lines for the final time. What we'll do is bring you your results there for that race, and what a race it was as well. Nick Clibbens did enough in the end to come across P1, started in P1, finished in P1. Andrew Pike P2, Isaac Doble P3, Kieran Sharp P4, Mikey Pollard P5, Jamie Dory P6, Lee Horton P7, Adam Delmont P8, Duncan Mariah P9, and we've got Alan McCain P10, Sam Smith P11, Matthew Cheverton P12, Ben Ultra P13, Sam Bradley P14, Costa in P15, Craig Tillotson in P16. Once again, fantastic racing this evening, and no doubt we'll see plenty more yet to come as well. One more race up and coming for you, but once more we'll head over to our pre-live screen. Commentary will resume here in just a few moments. Well, welcome back once more, and for the final time this evening, we get ready for our third and final race here at Germany. Obviously, don't forget, I'll bring up the information here as well for you, that we will have our final round this season on the 9th of July at the Mugello Short Circuit. That will be the final race of this season. Final one we have the joys of watching, and last time I have the pleasure of bringing the Ford Legend Racing to your screens. Just wait for the last few seconds. And here we go. So instead of bringing you a broken grid, we'll just read it off from what we can see at the moment. So Andrew Pike will lead the way. Nick Clibbins in P2. Now I bet you can't guess it, but the reverse grid was a random number, and it was 2. So top 2 are the reverse grids. And Isaac Doble P3, Kieran Sharp P4, Mikey Pollard P5, Jamie Dory P6, Lee Horn P7, Adam Delmont P8. And we've got Duncan Murray P9, Alan McCain P10, Sam Smith P11, Matthew Cheverton P12, and then we've got Ben Ultra P13, Sam Bradley P14, Costa in P15, and Craig Tillotson rounding off your grid there in P16. Smoke on the course. Not too sure why there's smoke on the course at this time. The lights are up. And we will see the pace car get off and underway. There it goes. Andrew Pike leads us off, the 57. Now, can he do what Nick Clibbins done a fantastic job of in race 2 and lead from the opening minute to the final seconds of the race? That will be the question, and that will be the answer I bring to you here in 20 minutes' time. Now, for the final time this evening, pace car taking us round on our final warm-up lap. Nick Clibbins will be on that outside line this time round, with Andrew Pike on the inside of that first corner. Now it is crucial to hold a tight inside line for the long sweeping right-hander, as we've seen multiple moves being done on that area of the circuit. And no doubt we'll see many more here in just a few moments. As we just wait for these cars to get around, we'll bring you your battle box and your track map as always. You see into the penultimate corner, through there, pace car into the pits. Now these cars will be holding their 2x2 formations. And here we go, the lights are up. And there we go, flat out straight away. And the it's not the best start for your leader, as instantly we are 3 cars wide. Andrew Pike, Isaac Doble, and Nick Clibbins all in the mix there. 65, Isaac Doble up the middle. And he's actually going to be the one that takes advantage, because he's now going to have that tight inside line on the right-hander. The 57 does drop down into P2. Kieran Sharp sitting there at P4 at the moment, but the 57 does have a loss of grip there on the exit of the corner. Now, can Kieran Sharp take advantage of that? Just like I say, he's in P4. He's going to move up the grid, in fact, by possibly 2 positions, as he finds himself P3 already. And if he can hold his car steady, nearly loses it on the exit of the corner there. And he does hold the inside line. Now finds himself up into P2. So within 3 corners, he's jumped up 2 positions. And already he's going to be hunting down Isaac Doble. So this is going to be the battle between Kieran Sharp and Isaac Doble again. Are we going to see an Isaac Doble masterclass of defence? Or is it all going to come crashing down? But this start has been a bit more chaotic than the last couple that we've seen. Mikey Pollard's going up the inside of Jamie Dory there. And then we've got the 390 Matthew Cheverton also going up the inside of the 212 Alan McCain. Alan McCain down 6 positions from his starting grid place. Same with Jamie Dory, down 6 places as well. As you can see, the car there of the 212 Alan McCain does suddenly jerk out from the single file traffic. And he instantly gets onto this natural racing line. And see, he does maintain his position back from the 390. And it didn't look good for the cars towards the back of the grid, as I think I did see a Costa going for a move on the wall. As here he is on the straight, 287. Oh. And I think his engine blew and his steering also went, and his car decided, nope, enough is enough tonight. I want to go home, and sent himself into the wall by the looks of it. Look, you could see a little snap in his steering halfway down the straight. And unfortunately, that's what's caused him to go off into the barrier. So not the most ideal start for Costa. So we're down to 15 cars. As we do see the gap opening up now between Isaac Doble and Andrew Pike. Kieran Sharp has fallen off, and he's no longer in that P2 spot where we saw him a couple moments ago. As you can see, the 23 has dropped down into P4, and just like that, he's back up into P3 as the 777 of Adam Delmont does drop down the field. And I think he took the advice given from the Cars movie, turn left to go right, a bit too literally, and he's turned left on the right-hander and unfortunately ended up facing the wrong way on the circuit. So Andrew Pike really does need to try and claw some of that time back to the car ahead if possible, because 2 seconds is almost the time between the top 2. You can see Isaac Doble literally running away with it at the moment, and we've not seen this much of a gap between the top 2 cars all night long, so this could be huge for Mr. Doble in terms of his points, and it's all to fight for as well. As you see, Lee Horn down 8 positions unfortunately from the starting grid position, not at the best starts. But he has now gained past Sam Smith. Sam Smith drifting back onto the course there. Not too sure what's happened to him. So it's just a little bit of an error on the exit of the corner there potentially. You see the 777 of Adam Delmont gets in front of Craig Tillotson. Craig Tillotson ends up sending himself into a bit of a slide there. Just after the corner, it was just as we're breaking onto the straight. And more smoke once more as Adam Delmont breaks through that smoke. That's possibly coming from the car of Ben Ultra or Sam Bradley. They are the 2 cars just ahead. Now Kieran Sharp finds himself back on the podium spot once more. Back into P3 as we close up on the first 5 minutes. And the 23 sitting there trying to find the best opportunity to overtake the 57 just ahead of him, the 57 of Andrew Pike, that is, who's only down 1 spot at the moment, trading places with Isaac Doble, going 3 wide in the first lap. 1 minute 10. I didn't see what the last part was. 1 minute 10.25 quickest lap time for Kieran Sharp. A fantastic lap time there as well. But here's the difference between the 2 cars. 1 minute 10.25 for Kieran Sharp, 1 minute 10.22 for Isaac Doble. So Isaac Doble just ever so slightly quicker in maybe 1 or 2 areas. We don't fully know exactly where he's gaining this time. Unfortunately, I'm not given the sectors, but I can tell you this: his speed is averaging just ever so slightly higher than Kieran Sharp's at the minute. So is that all that's keeping him in front by quite some margin as it stands right now? Mikey Pollard just a bit further down, car number 73. P5 overall at the moment, hasn't moved from his starting grid position. Jamie Dory also the same in P6, just behind him. And the gap between those two has edged out ever so slightly. Looking back here towards Adam Delmont and Ben Altria. Ben Altria sliding in just behind Adam Delmont, the 777 car, trying to claw up on Sam Bradley, number 9 there, the light blue on your screens, as they go through the sweeping right. And for the final time this evening, obviously Ford Legends here at Germany. Why watch your heroes at the Euros when you can watch the legends at Oschersleben? The 777 looking to make a move on the car number 9 for the top 10 spot. And Delmont, what have you got in your locker to wire up this position and gain that momentum to sling yourself in front? Sam Bradley doing a wonderful job this far though, up 4 positions from a starting grid position. Done very well to hold his car on the outside line there, still on the outside line for the final turn. Momentum advantage towards the 777. You can see he got down a little bit quicker on the power there on the exit, but remember they're going to have the same top speed, but the question is out of the corner, it's a case of who gets to that speed the quickest. So they're not going to make many overtakes towards the end of the straight. However, the 777 car does find himself now in front of Sam Bradley. Just gets his way into the top 10. But don't hold your breath for too long. Ben Altria just on the back of this battle as well, as car number 9 looks to drop off ever so slightly, and Sam Bradley now is at risk from the Ben Altria attack. And that bright green car is going to want to get by fairly soon if the 504 wants any chance of catching that 777 of Adam Delmont just ahead. And it's not going to be an easy job, but nevertheless it's a job that needs to be done. So he's going to be looking to get that sorted ASAP. As you see the number 9 there going a little further wide, and a bit of smoke puffing up from the cars ahead. I imagine that'll just be smoke from Delmont's car. As you can see, he does take a very wide line on the exit there of the penultimate corner. And 504 takes a nice inside line. Car number 9 has a bit of a lock-up, and Sam Bradley unfortunately loses another position there and drops down into P12 overall. So Ben Altria does gain, and he has moved up. Now the question is, can he claw that gap back to Delmont, who is now a good couple of seconds up the road? That's going to be the trickiest part here, and the 504 has some defensive work to do before that anyway. Ben Altria needs to try and keep Sam Bradley at bay, and it's easier said than done at that as well, as we look towards the higher end of the table, towards the number 57, and at the minute trying to keep Kieran Sharp in behind in his mirrors. 57 leading the 23 at the moment, but overall in the race, Isaac Doble leading the way, car number 65. Running away with your race victory as it stands at the moment. Just under 2 seconds splits the top 2 cars. 1.9 seconds to be exact. So Isaac doing enough at the moment as we approach onto the halfway mark this race. 2 seconds is not a lot of time in racing terms. It may feel like it, but it really isn't, especially in these cars. Any slight slip and it could all be over. So fingers crossed for you, Isaac Doble. I'm not trying to jinx you whatsoever. 57. Still P2 at the minute though, holding Kieran Sharp behind at the moment fairly successfully. Nick Clibbens just behind that, sort of lurking on the rear end of this battle as well. And certainly going to be a battle for the ages potentially if Kieran Sharp can get himself just a little closer to make that move and try and cash in on moving up the grid. As you can see, 2 wheels on the grass there for Kieran Sharp as he comes out wide on that exit there. And now we look towards Jamie Dory, and Jamie Dory trying to spice things up here with Mikey Pollard once more. These two have gone at it hammer and tongs all night long, And they always seem to be fighting in and around each other. And the 73 does sit there in front of Jamie Dory's number 13 at the moment, but that could all change. There goes your leader just off screen. The battle for the top two there now turning into first turn. And here goes Jamie Dory and Mikey Pollard. Your turn. Well, Mikey Pollard does well to maintain his line and pace. And 13 doing alright at the minute. Jamie Dory needs to try and keep on the back end of that 73 as much as possible as we do close into the second half of this race. So if he can just keep himself on the rear end, he might be able to make a surprise attack in the last few seconds. So then there is no chance of a comeback for Mr. Pollard. And that will be the ultimate time to score your overtake. Right at the end when your opponent doesn't have any chance to go for a counter-attack. As you see, the 57 still in front of Kieran Sharp at the minute, but just over a tenth between the two cars. That comes down now to a tenth exactly. Kieran Sharp, number 23, still P3 at the moment. Can he get that move sorted? Holds a nice inside line. He's very good at holding that tight inside line on the first couple of corners. And that is playing crucial so far to the pace this evening. 1.8 seconds now splits the top two. So it's gone down ever so slightly. But there's still just enough in it at the moment to maintain this lead. As Isaac Doble done enough. But just like I say, that's down to 1.7. Bounces back up to 1.8. The more these two battle out, the more it's going to slow them down as well. So they have to be careful in themselves to not impede themselves of any pace, speed, or momentum around the circuit, because it is all about momentum with these legends. You see the battles all starting to spread out ever so slightly now. But the 57 at the minute still leads the way, but the 73 just back there in the picture. Mikey Pollard only just in front of the 13, but the 13 does have that inside line advantage. And they are now going to be side by side up the home straight. And Jamie Dory does get himself in front. And nice and easily in front as well up the straight. So very good job there to get the job done on a straight bit of road. And get your car well into the advantage point. It's always tricky getting the overtake done in turn one, because then you find yourself on the back foot straight away in turn two. So it's not the ideal situation for most people trying to get their overtake done there. But Cheverton at the minute trying to work out what he's going to do here in a NASCAR sandwich. Two liveries exactly the same, two different numbers, 33 in front, 777 behind, and 390 slap bang in the middle. Duncan Murray, P8, he's the number 33 there on your screens. And we've got the 390 of Matthew Cheverton. Just behind that, the 777 of Adam Delmont, P10. This is your battle for P8 at the moment. A few tenths off of each other, all that splits the three cars. See, the 777 did look up the inside of the 390 there, but nowhere near close enough to make a move. So he's just going to do some window shopping. We're going to have a look, not going to go for it. As we see Mikey Pollard at the minute going up the inside line, he's now going to try and do exactly the same as what Jamie Dory did to him at one lap ago, and does so. The respect between those drivers is pretty good, as there's not too much hard defence going on just yet, but I think they know that this race isn't over yet and it's still all to play for. Lee Horn at the minute fighting it out with Ben Ultra. Ben Ultra, fantastic inside line there, and manages to stick himself right in front of Lee Horn. Avoids any cutback as well from Horn's vehicle. Defends that very, very well. And the 504 does manage to hold a defensive line and sits himself right in front of Mr. Horn's car. P12 at the minute for Lee Horn, not able to secure that P11. And if he does, it's only for a few seconds, because Ben Ultra comes massively on the comeback attack and keeps his nose just ahead for now. Finds himself on the outside line though, back towards the inside, and now they are going to be single file traffic. So it's worked out 504's favour. Lee Horn at the minute though on the outside line, struggling to get by, and keeps finding himself on the outside line. There goes the 36 now out in front. Only 16 minutes have lapsed, so we're coming into our last 4 of this third and final racing session this evening. Jamie Dory once more closing the gaps, and he's closing the gap again on Mikey Pollard. If I had a penny for every time I've said that this evening, I would be rich, as these two have taken the fight to each other all night long. And no doubt when they go to sleep tonight, they're going to be in each other's nightmares, reliving these races over and over again throughout their thoughts on this lovely Tuesday evening. At the 73 at the minute, sits P5, and all nearly contact there between those two, as it looked like Jamie Dory couldn't find his brake pedal almost, as he nearly goes into the back end of Mikey Pollard there, but does well to keep the two cars separated. I think that was just a case of getting onto the back end of the car, and a bit of intimidation factor as well. 23 at the minute, Kieran Sharp still just on the back of Andrew Pike, so I thought we might see an Isaac Doble masterclass in defending once more, as we have done already this season. But no, instead, Andrew Pike said, hold my beer, and he's going to do it himself. So he may not be fighting for that P1 spot, but Andrew has certainly done a fantastic job of keeping Kieran Sharp at bay in P2 and 3. The battle between those two at the moment. Nick Clibbens just latching on in P4 just behind, waiting for a mistake from these two, but they're not the two racers you really want to be sitting behind waiting for a mistake, because I can promise you this now, out of 100 laps, that probably won't ever happen. So if these guys were to do 100 laps in these cars, you probably won't see a mistake, as nothing has gone wrong for them so far. Again, could be a commentator's curse, could be jinxing it. We'll soon find out here in the next couple of laps, but the white flag will be out in just a moment, and I think I almost did jinx it there for the 57. He's now going to find himself side by side, and Andrew Pike, when he watches this back, he's going to absolutely crucify me, as he's possibly just lost that advantage to Kieran Sharp, and he has done. Kieran Sharp does get his car number 23 in front, and now he's able to chase down Isaac Doble, but there's a bit of a gap there, 1.4 seconds. That's quite a considerable margin to claw back in cars that are pretty similar for pace, well, in fact identical for pace, and not going to be an easy job. So it is based all on skill, but 1.3 seconds is now the gap. So if Isaac Doble was taking it a bit easy, now's the time to really put your foot down and maintain this victory, because it is coming your way in the next minute and 30 seconds. But you need to keep your foot down, because Kieran Sharp is now on the hunt, and after this race I will be disappearing, and I will not be touching any form of electronics to avoid Andrew Pike from finding me, because he's not going to be too pleased with me after he finds out that I've completely jinxed and ruined his third and final race here this evening at Oschersleben. White flag is out, and your leader will take that now. Isaac Doble, P1 at the moment. Final lap as it stands. Your leaders are Isaac Doble, P1, Kieran Sharp, P2, Andrew Pike, P3, Nick Clibbens just on the back, P4, Mikey Pollard, P5, and Jamie Dory, P6. So there's your top 6 at the moment, and also your leader for the AMS, Duncan Marai. He has just lost a position to Matthew Cheverton, but those two are fighting out side by side, just on the rear end of the straight. Number 33, sitting just on the rear end of the 390. But P10 overall, not a bad place to be, and doesn't have to worry too much, because he is leading his class. So I think that is more the main focus, winning the class. As 1.5 seconds now is the gap between P1 and P2. We are on the final lap, just a few corners left to go, and I'm not going to jinx it, so we're going to swiftly turn away from the battle for the lead, just for the final few corners, because I know what my luck's like. I've already gotten the bad books of Andrew Pike. I don't want to do it again for Doble or Sharp, and I don't think I will, because we're now going to be on the straight. I'm not going to say anything, as Isaac Doble does come across in P1. Who's going to get the P2 spot? It's just going to be Kieran Sharp, but not by much, as Andrew Pike was literally just knocking on the rear end of that Ford Legends car there, as sparks fly off between him and Nick Clibbens on the start-finish straight. Sam Bradley turning into a drift there into the penultimate corner, now into the final turn. P13 for Mr. Bradley. And P14 for Craig Tillotson, who's had some fantastic racing. Unfortunately, Costa isn't on circuit at the moment after that earlier incident. So Craig Tillotson very much racing himself at the moment. And finishes off his race here. He has some great battles this evening though. And in fact, Craig Tillotson decides he doesn't want to finish and make it too easy on himself. So he has a little cheeky off track before finishing the race, just to make it look that extra little bit more difficult as he comes across the line there now. So what we'll do for the final time this evening is we will bring you your results for this race. And here they are. So Isaac Doble did finish P1, a great race after going 3 wide in the opening lap. P2 for Kieran Sharp. Andrew Pike, P3. Once again, I do apologise. I didn't mean to jinx you that badly. Nick Clibbons in P4. Then we have Jamie Dory, P5. Mikey Pollard, P6. Alan McCain, P7. Alan Delmont, P8. Matthew Cheverton, P9. Duncan Rye, P10. Lee Horn, P11. And then we've got Ben Ultra, P12. Sam Bradley, P13. Craig Tillotson, P14. Sam Smith, P15. And Costa in P16. So once again, a fantastic night of racing. And we have one more left to go. As you can see on screen now. The next round, 9th of July at the Mugello Short Circuit. And that will be the final round this season. A 5-week calendar. And this will be the 5th week coming. So next Tuesday, come join us for the Mugello Short Circuit, where we'll see some more legends take to the track and entertain us for a lovely Tuesday evening of racing. Hope to see you all there. And until then, have a very safe week. And we'll see you again very, very soon.